So in general, tape and analog recordings, and actually just any form of like physical music stuff, has always been really interesting to me. However, doing stuff like reel-to-reel tape is really expensive, so when I heard about the poor man's reel-to-reel tape, some may call it, I was like, whoa, I gotta give that a try. If you don't know what I'm talking about, for all you youngsters out there who might not know what this is a VHS player. It plays VHS tapes. And this is a VHS tape. And you might be thinking to yourself, hey Mr. Weird Feezo guy, what the heck are you talking about? That is for watching movies on. You can't record music on that. Well, I've got news for you. You can actually record audio onto these tapes as if it were any other form of tape. Normally people do this with a blank one. I didn't have a blank one, so we're actually just going to try to record right over this National Geographic lion video. However, one small problem. This VHS player, I do not have a remote for. And that is a problem because for this particular machine, you need the remote to be able to record. Option 1, we could look for the remote, which there's a 50-50 chance that I just completely threw it away and it just doesn't exist anymore. Or option 2, we go to a couple thrift stores in search of a VHS player that actually has a remote with it, or one that we can just maybe record without the remote. Obviously, option 2 is way more fun, so we need to go to a couple Goodwill stores. Here we are at one of the classic stores of Goodwill International USA, and we're looking for a VHS player. Not having much luck finding a VHS player. There's a lot of DVD players, but that's not what we're looking for. Not gonna lie, I am a little disappointed in the performance of this Goodwill today. Normally this Goodwill has some really good stuff. I've gotten a bunch of different musical instruments and stuff here, but apparently VHS players are not their thing. So we're gonna go to a different Goodwill. So unfortunately, again, disappointed with this Goodwill. Didn't find anything there. I found 2 VHS players. One of them sounded like it was going to explode when I powered it on. And the other one just didn't have a remote with it. So yeah, no luck here. So once again, we've been let down by Goodwill, but thankfully there is like 2 other Goodwills and another store around here that we can try. Savers. It's like Goodwill 2. They call it a thrift superstore, but we're gonna be the judge of that. We'll see just how super this store is. Honestly, didn't feel very super. Everything in there is kind of overpriced, and they had pretty much nothing as far as electronics go. So yeah, this is not the place to come if you need a VHS player. Here's one final Goodwill. If this one doesn't have anything, we're just gonna call it for today, because we've been at this search for quite a while now. We've gone to 2 different Goodwills and a Savers, so today just might not be our day, but let's see how this Goodwill is. Not very good. Honestly, I would go so far as, holy shit. Honestly, I would probably go so far as to call this a bad will. There was literally nothing in there. I was just walking around there kind of aimlessly. There was no good clothes, no good electronics, just no good anything, honestly. So, scrap a good, it's bad will. As you can imagine, at this point, I felt pretty discouraged. The weather was gloomy, the winds were hard, and I was tired and hungry. But even though we were down, we were not out. So when I got back home, I started looking into option 1, getting a remote for the VCR that we already have. So I found one that seemed good, I ordered it, I waited, and then finally, it was time to see if this thing would actually work. This should be going to output 3 now. It worked. So, good news, this does actually work. But now that we know that it is possible, it's time to try to make a beat on this thing. Don't know how, but we are gonna try. So I'm not totally sure yet how I want to go about this. There's a couple different ways that we can do this. For one, we can record every single sound individually onto tape, or we can just make the beat and then record it onto tape at the end. From what I just experienced, it didn't really sound too great when I recorded an entire beat onto tape, so maybe we'll just record everything individually. First thing I'm gonna start off with is some acoustic guitar. Okay. Hello. Okay, now I want to get some drums for this. So right here I have the drums, just as one file, and then I'm going to run that through the VHS player. But now, we need some bass. Nice, I actually did that first try. This is so based. This is so bass right now. Okay, guitar. We need guitar. That's exactly what I need right there. That's exactly what I need right there. Pretty good. But now we need... This is actually going to be my first time using this in a beat. This is my banjo-lele. It's like a ukulele and a banjo. Pretty dope. I'm just going to record a tiny little melody for this. Nothing too crazy. Alright, so right now we pretty much have the beat to a point where I'm ready to put this thing onto tape. Obviously there is some more things I want to add to it, some more layers and whatnot, but this is how it sounds right now. So now comes the part of the video where we bang our head against the wall trying to figure out how this thing actually works. Okay, this is the master. So the out 3 and 4 on the audio interface is okay, I'm going to take this, I'm going to send it into the audio interface. The VHS player is recording it. We could press record on here, or we could press record on here. So now it's recording, as you can see. And then in FL Studio, we play... Okay, not that. The one with the green, this one, is the song. And the one with the purple, that says VHS, is obviously the VHS player. And if we play it, you can see it's going through both. So we're going to put an Edison on the VHS player one, and pretty much just hit record. Alright, so I basically compiled all the layers into one track, and then I ran that through the VHS tape. So this is just the original without being ran through tape at all. And then this is what it sounds like running it through the VHS player at kind of like a medium volume. And this is what it sounds like running it through the VHS player at like a pretty low volume. So as you can hear, in both cases, it adds like a ton of high end and kind of just makes it like super tinny and harsh sounding. So this is kind of why I'm thinking I want to record everything separately and then put them together. Because once you put the track onto tape, it's not going to sound the exact same way as you mixed it. So if we just record everything on a tape, we'll have a lot more control over it. So I think that's what I'm going to do, even though it's going to take kind of a long time. Okay, that took forever to do, and they didn't really turn out sounding that good anyways. So the only thing that I really didn't like how it turned out was the drums. They turned out like this. It just adds so much high end that it's just like painful to listen to. Everything else turned out pretty good though. The guitars sound nice. The one thing I really like how it turned out though was the bass. Something about it just gives the bass a really nice color, so that's definitely worth it for sure, but everything else is like kind of questionable. So at this point, I think we're pretty much done here. We've done almost all we can do. So, what are my final thoughts here, you ask? I was really excited to do this. I think it was a little bit underwhelming. I thought it was going to be like the coolest thing ever and sound super awesome. I think doing this sounds really good on certain instruments, like for example, that bass sounded really cool, and also for certain other things that don't have a lot of high end already. I think doing this method is a really cool way to get like a vintage, tapey kind of sound. However, I don't really think it sounds good on stuff that has a lot of high end, so the drums didn't really sound good. It's also a lot of effort too. Like, you gotta get the AV cables with the red and the white, and you gotta get adapters to plug it into your interface. You probably could just get the same exact sound with some type of plugin. But it's cool. It's a neat little idea, a little method. It's cool to have. It's cool to actually have your audio like physically on something. It doesn't really do much for you. There's no inherent benefits to that, but it's cool. So yeah, I don't know if this is something that I would personally do regularly, but if you have the capability to, I would try it out. My takeaway is that it's pretty cool to record stuff on VHS tapes. Pretty cool that you can do that. So yeah, that's pretty much going to do it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video here today. Make sure you guys go check out my Instagram and all the other social media stuff down in the description below, and I will see you guys next time.